Hi, Shelley here. I'm working in my art journal today and I'm excited to use some of the paste papers that I made last week. I'm also going to add some extra texture to my texture paste to see what happens when I do that. It might be really cool or it might be a really big mistake. We're about to find out. Either way, I hope that you'll enjoy this video, that'll inspire you to break out your art supplies, go through your stash, and get creating. So let's get started. I've got a few of my paste papers that I think coordinate well together, and I'm just going to start tearing some long strips. This is a deli paper. This is the Bible concordance papers that I did, and this is just regular printer paper. But I think they play well together, and so I'm going to just tear them into strips and then we'll collage them onto our art journal page just to get something going in the background. I'm just going to start going. But I do want to make sure that I get a straight edges on the edges so that I don't have straight edges in here. And because it's an art journal and I'm just doing Mod Podge today, I'm not going to use matte medium. Got it up there. Don't want to get my head in the way, but oop. All right, I decided I just wanted something else. So I went and found this old gel print and on deli paper, and I'm going to use this, I think. All right, I think I'm going to stop there and let this dry. Make sure I don't have any brush strokes. My page is dry. I'm loving how it looks so far. And now I'm just going to trim up the edges really quick. All right, now I'm going to mix up a little bit of paint. Get a little bit of my magenta. I don't need very much. Little red in there. A little bit of green. That's my marsh green, and I'm going to put a little bit of bright green in there. Oh. And then some bright blue with a little bit of cobalt. I should have used my barn red. That bright red's not quite dark enough. I should have put my gloves on first. put a little bit of my navy in here, darken it up just a hair. And I kind of want to just dry brush a little on here and there. I don't want it to be really obvious. And I don't want to cover up my paste papers. And I don't really want to take away my torn edges. I'm not really sure what I'm hoping to get out of this. Maybe cover up those white paper edges. You know, if you tear, I always tear this way with my right hand coming back, and if I would tear down with my right hand going down, the white edge would be to the back, but I always forget. So hopefully you will remember that, unlike me. All right, good enough. Next, I want to add some texture, but I want to color my texture paste. And the texture paste that I use is the Alex Fast Dry Caulk that I buy at Walmart. You can buy it in white and black. I enjoy the black too. I don't use it as much, but occasionally. And what usually happens when I add color to my texture paste, it gets really runny. So I have the idea, I'm going to try this. It could be a big mess, but I bought this Rolotex fine additive, it's texture additive for paint. I bought this, probably 10 years ago from my local hardware place. I don't even know, again, if they make it. Going through the stash, trying to get it done, trying to get things used up. And then I've also got some cornstarch here. So I'm going to see if I can thicken up my paste and get a nice texture on there without my paste being too runny. And like I said, we will see. Doing a little experiment here. So I'm going to put some dark green in there with my marsh green, mix that up, and then we'll see what we've got. I have these old cups from when we used to have our camper, and we used to go a lot when the kids, kids were little, and we just don't anymore. So I thought, man, I'm going to use these dudes up in my art. That is not near dark enough. Usually I get it somewhat colored and then I wind up painting it, but I'd like to try doing it without that. I know there are pastes that you can buy that will let you add color to it without it getting so loose, but I don't have that. I think that'll be good. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be real subtle. It's not going to be in your face, but I think it'll be nice. So let's put that up. Put this here so we can see. It's like little teeny tiny balls. And then there's another one. I've got another one that's bigger flakes. I often find when I buy things that are listed in the art store, you know, for art, things are always more expensive than if you look at other parts of the store. Oftentimes they've got the same products or products that'll do the same thing for quite a bit less. I like doing that whenever I can, because I like to have lots of options. Now I want to add a little bit of cornstarch and see what that does. See what that does for us. Hopefully I won't wind up with a big ball of a big rock. Can't really tell any difference, so I'm gonna brave the waters and put a bigger teaspoon in. I think maybe the cornstarch is a good idea. Both worked just fine. If you don't want texture, if I don't want texture in the future, I think that I'll just go with the cornstarch. But the texture is lovely as well. Very fun. Let's do another big teaspoon. Oh yeah, that's thickening up really good. Maybe too much now, hopefully. And then we'll have to see how it does on my page. How does it dry? How does it look when it's done? Does it crack? Does it fall apart? Well, that thickened it up quite a bit. But if it works, this will be my answer to thickening up my paste and adding when I add color. Okay, yeah, I know it's hard to see, but I have my Iowa Wildflowers stencil here, and I'm just going to put down these bottom guys. Texture is sandy. It's very light compared to sand. Sand is quite heavy when you add it into your modeling paste or your paint, which is fine. It's definitely something I've used and will use again, but this is very light in texture. Very thick and luscious now. All right, now I forgot to get out my paper towels. It's a little bit loose, more loose than it would be if I didn't have paint in it, so it's a little globby under there. But it's just an art journal page and we're experimenting and learning. What I like to do is take a toothpick and just go around where it smushes under and clean up any of those areas that I don't like. Stiff brush and a little bit of water. Let me get my stencil out of here before it's too stuck to this. Still a little bit of wet on there. I hopefully don't get too much transfer. Maybe we'll get a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. kind of like to switch these up though. So they're not just looking at each other there. Let's try that. And I will wash my stencils after this. Rinse these off, and it'll rinse off very nicely. I have found that I'm a little bit, I don't like to leave my modeling paste on my stencils. Paint, I don't care, but modeling paste, I do not like it. Also this week, I was watching that gal, what is her name? Anyway, she's very talented, and I think she owns Joggles but anyway, I was watching her, and she called it molding, and I thought, have I been calling it wrong all this time? Oh my goodness. So forgive me if you know that it's molding paste and have been offended by me calling it modeling paste. But lots of people call it modeling paste, so I know I'm not the only one. Okay, I'm just very tickled with the color and the texture. I definitely will do this in the future if it dries good and if it doesn't peel off or get flaky on me, or you know, we'll have to see how it does in the future. But I'm super excited about this because I so many times have wanted to add modeling paste to a project, but I didn't want to have to paint it after. Or I always felt that I needed to. So anyway, we shall see how this goes. I've got several. These are not all that I have from doing the paste papers. These are my clean off papers on deli paper the other day that I did. And so I'm going to use those to try and use up my paste. Just for fun, real quick. Just want to show you my papers really quick. They have a fun texture on them. I don't know if you can see in the green or not, but It's very sandy, like. So I don't know how that will transfer as collage papers, but I think it'll be pretty cool. Just very quickly. Love that one. Love this one. This one, way too much texture, and it's cracking in spots, so that I will definitely be mindful of. This one just has a little bit. So anyway, you can do it, but too thick, we're going to get some cracking. And I noticed the same thing on my leaves here. I have some crackle effect, which I absolutely love. And so what I want to do now, just to make sure this is going to stay, is I'm going to go over with just a little bit of Mod Podge and kind of seal that. I don't know if I need to do this or not, but I just want to make sure I give this the best chance I can. But I like how it turned out. I like how the color with my background, I think, is cool. There, quick coat, and then we'll let that dry. Okay, so I've got my butterfly that I've cut out. You don't need to use a machine to do it, but I have a machine, so, and it's super easy for me. So I just cut out my butterfly out of cardstock, and then I could go in with my stamps and my ink and just do it. But I have all this tissue paper over the years that I've stamped and painted on, so I'm determined I'm going to use it. I'm trying to use what I have up before I make new. So I think what I'm going to do, this spot in here, I like that I have script. I just have a lot of stuff going on, and I just think that this would be an awesome area to work from. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of generally cut out this area. And then I've got this on the back. That yellow right there was showing through, and I thought, oh no, no. Okay, and this way I've got some numbers. I've got my, whatever that stamp is, or stencil. So I'm just going to use my Mod Podge again. And I'm going to put a quick coat of Mod Podge on. And then I'm going to put another coat of Mod Podge onto the top. The bad part is we have to dry it. We've got to let it dry. And I don't know if you've known this, but if you take a heat tool to your Mod Podge surface, like you could dry this with a heat tool, but the problem is it makes the Mod Podge a glossy, and I do not want that. If you want glossy, then you can dry it with your heat tool and you'll get a glossy finish. But I like the more satin finish I get with letting it dry naturally. Next, I've got my General Scriball surface pencil, and I'm just going to kind of go around my edges. Give them just a little more definition. What if we did some flowers in the pink and orange and then did the butterfly in the blue? I'm going to put out a little bit of my dark red and my bright orange. Get a dauber and this stencil. And I'm just going to go ahead and start putting some of these flowers in. No, maybe what we need to do is kind of paint them in. All right, we'll let this dry and then we'll see if we want to do something else to it or leave it as is. All right, my butterfly is dry and I'm going to carefully remove it from the waxed paper, hopefully. I want to be very, very careful, especially around my antenna. And now what I want to do is cut around my edges, and then I'm going to apply another coat of Mod Podge to the back of my butterfly. I want to make sure that it is very sturdy. Boy, that took a while to get done. I think I'm going to dry it a little bit with my heat tool since it's the back. Flowers are dry and I like how they turned out. Now I just want to bring them out a little bit. So I'm going to go in with my black Bic Intensity Ultra Fine Point permanent marker. Now back to work on our butterfly. Got our butterfly coated on both sides, nice and thick. And now we've just got to decide how we're going to paint it. I kind of like something along the lines of the blue. I think would make it pop, but keep it in the same realm. So I'm going to put out a little bit of bright blue and a little bit of navy, a little more navy. Now I'm going to get some water. I want this to be light so that we can see what's in the background. Let's put our plastic wrap on top. I'm going to go change what's in the laundry and then we'll come back and lift this up and see if it's what we want. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, very cool. Now let's see if that's going to go with our page. My blue is not perfect, but I'm okay with that. Now I'm thinking maybe this is a little too dark in here. I want to be able to see my background. I had some verses that I used in a class a while back. I'm trying to use up my stash. Plus, I love this verse. It's not on tissue paper, so it's not going to just meld into the background, but that's okay. I kind of like that wonky. Now I'm just going to go around my edges. Finish this guy off. I don't know why I'm using that, just to annoy myself, I think. I don't need something under me. Now, if I was going to put this on a canvas, I would give it another coat of Mod Podge on the front and the back, or matte medium, or whatever I was using. Get this lid off of here. Here we go. And then the cool thing about it is then you can shape and mold these wings into whatever shape, and they will stay like that on the canvas for years. I've done them years ago that have still look fantastic. So yeah, obviously this is going to be in a journal and be flat, so it isn't really going to it doesn't really help me to bend them and mold them. But I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on each wing and in the middle, and this beacon fast grab glue will be plenty to hold it on there. I originally thought I was going to put them this way, but if I put them this way, then you can see my leaf there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put any glue on the antenna. I'm just going to let them be there again. They're going to be in a book, so I don't think it's going to be a big deal. And if for some reason they fell off at some point, I could always go in with a black marker and make his antenna, but I think it'll probably be just fine like this. Well, that's my journal page. It was a lot of fun to do. I love how it turned out. I think the texture in the texture paste was a very cool look. I love the cracks in here. Again, I don't know if this is going to hold up in the long run. I think it will. And I think the Mod Podge on top is going to help ensure that. But I do think that the texture is very cool. And I love the paste papers. I love the dimension that they give. Hey, thanks for joining me today. And I hope you join me in my next video. Bye for now.